Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project Magnetic Reversal News, Shinrin Yoku, and Yurt Life, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Saturday, January 20th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2024. A plasma filament destabilized from the sun today, and a coronal mass ejection ensued, sending a halo shockwave towards Earth. You can see it here, and that means geomagnetic storms are coming, and it's showing right now G1 geomagnetic storm, but long lasting. So some space weather is in our forecast. Keep calm. It's boom time. 2 weeks of winter storms killed dozens and caused cold chaos in parts of the U.S. The good news, a thaw is coming. Take a look at Michigan.
Tonight, dangerous and bone-chilling weather gripping much of the nation. This is what it looks like along Lake Michigan. The lighthouse in Grand Haven, frozen solid. Wind chills in the single digits. This week's brutal snow, ice, and wind responsible for more than 60 deaths across the country. And it's been a nightmare on the roads, too. Here in Philadelphia, some cars have yet to be cleaned on roads that have yet to be plowed. Real concern as roads ice over, leading to even more treacherous terrain. On a scale of 1 to frigid, how cold are you?
I'm close to frigid, honestly.
We've got poles all up and down this route.
The West getting pounded too. In Oregon, ice and wind down trees and cut power lines. Back in the Northeast, the Buffalo area buried in more than 3 feet of snow after 8 straight days of storms. Today, Bills fans once again digging out Highmark Stadium ahead of tomorrow's matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs.
We're willing to help whatever it takes for our team, you know.
And part of the South won't be spared either, with near record lows forecast tonight in places like Bryson City, North Carolina, Greenville, Mississippi, and Myrtle Beach.
George Solis is in Philadelphia. George, when can we expect some relief from these frigid temperatures?
Holy macaroni, that is going to be cold. The full forecast is coming up. Chicago weather, lake effect snow hammers northwest Indiana. Some areas surpass 3 feet of accumulation. And what happens when it freezes in the south? Alligators freeze with it. Take a look at this. This is how alligators freeze themselves in ponds with their snout out so that they survive. It's a way that they hibernate, and it's quite interesting. All the links will be below. And good news, with all this wintry precipitation, we have amazing recovery in some of the snow basins. Now, dozens of basins at or near normal. One basin here in Oregon, 8 times more snow than average. Absolutely stunning. PG&E saw more mass outages yesterday, but the good news is those linesmen have gotten the power back on. Just 16,000 without power currently in Oregon. And here's the full forecast. Frigid temperatures for 2/3 of the country. Active weather in the west with heavy rain in the south. Very cold air will continue to settle across the plains and into the Mississippi and Tennessee valleys through tomorrow. In the west, an active weather pattern over the next few days will cause heavy mountain snow and heavy rainfall, which could lead to localized flash flooding. Meanwhile, showers, thunderstorms, and heavy rainfall is expected to develop across the western Gulf Coast Sunday, which will be their fun day. Winter storm watches and warnings are out in purple and pink, flood warnings out in green, and frost and freeze warnings in blue and purple. It's going to be frigid all the way down into South Florida. So buckle up, Buttercup. Winter has just arrived. Here is the thermodynamics for tonight. And you can see that freeze warning well down into southern Florida. Could be an iguana apocalypse for some, but definitely some frozen gators. The freeze line pushes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico and Louisiana, Alabama. Oh, and take a look at that. That's got to be frigid. All the way into Mexico. Ho, ho, ho. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. He doesn't like this snow map. Record snow for the west through the end of the month and heavy snow for the northeast like a beast. Let's first take a look at the forecast with rain and snow. You could see a heavy system over the next day or so through the rest of the weekend is going to be pummeling the south. Even it looks like Southern California is going to be getting some much needed precipitation. The Tucson area by Monday morning could be saturated as the east stays dry for days. But a developing system will end that by midweek. Here is Tuesday into Wednesday. That is that nor'easter that will be twisting around there, bringing heavy rain to New York and Philly and heavy snow up higher in the Northeast, including Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, which is looking like a pretty deadly mix here for Thursday. Let's take a look at the total snowfall and move it through. All right, here we are. This is the Sunday forecast all day. Heavy snow in the Sierras, as well as everywhere west of the Continental Divide. Beautiful amounts of snow, all in the high elevations there. Here is your Monday through Tuesday. That system develops mid-country. Southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Ohio going to be picking up on the action, as well as Michigan. Top knot could be slathered in another foot or snow as the system makes its way east Wednesday into Thursday up into the Northeast. Heavy snow in the ski resorts. It looks like the Adirondacks, northern Vermont, and New Hampshire all picking up on the global warming goodness. Here's Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. Another storm will move down through the Pacific Northwest, adding insult to injury and heavy accumulations to the upper elevations. Good news. Seismic update. Several quakes of note today. First of all, let's talk about a 6.1 in the Pagan region, North Marianas Islands. A 6.6 just kicked off mid-plate in Brazil at a depth of 614 kilometers. This is a large blot echo. Could be something brewing. A large earthquake may emanate on the surface here in the coming 24 hours. Other than that, we have a moderate activity here, a 6.2 in the southwest Indian Ridge, uptick in Alaska, and an uptick in the region of Puerto Rico. Here we are over at the Reykjanes Peninsula, where another eruption is imminent, unfortunately. Seismicity is low, which means nothing is happening as of now. Seems to be a few pulses of tremor, cycles that lead up to the eruption. Here is what an eruption looks like. And the last Fisher eruption occurred in a very short period of time, just over 40 hours, and ended down here. So now the magma is being emplaced once again, and a new hazard map has been released. The new hazard map assessment for Grindavik area has been published by the Icelandic Met Office. Say that 5 times fast. As the eruption has ceased, hazard levels decreased in all risk zones but one level, and that is zone 4. Zone 3 has now dropped down and is where they think most of the magma is. The unfortunate thing is that it runs right through the town of Grindavik, so we're crossing our fingers. But the people that live in the town are fed up. They've been dealing with this for years. Tens of thousands of earthquakes, eruptions, and now burnt homes. And the irony of it all is the 3 people whose homes burned in the last eruption get their homes fully covered by insurance, but none of the rest of the homes, which are unlivable, are covered. So there could be a civil war brewing in Iceland. The latest space weather news, a filament eruption and CME. A filament eruption this morning was observed in the southeast quadrant beginning at 8:45 UTC. The event looks to be responsible for a faint partial halo coronal mass ejection confirmed, and the initial forecast is calling for a portion of the observed CME on Saturday to pass Earth late on the 22nd. And here we are over at Oppenheimer Ranch Project at Diamond the Dave on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. And you can see earlier this morning the ISWA Signet streamer showing that plasma filament headed directly towards Earth. The WSA Enlil spiral has not been updated, will be updated tomorrow, so I'll have a closer look at what they think after further analysis. But this appears to be a direct hit and a guaranteed geomagnetic storm, low level G1, coming in just a day or so. Here is that geomagnetic forecast. Let's take a look at the detailed once again, if we can get there. So the geomagnetic storms should arrive late January 22nd. That is going to be on Monday and last into Tuesday, according to the data. We'll leave you links to everything we talked about tonight below the video. Mars life proof spotted. Well, not really. This is always clickbait. This is coming from clickbait extraordinaire interesting engineering. Miles thick water ice on the red planet's equator. Or is it? They think it is. The European Space Agency orbiter has discovered definite evidence of a large volume of ice concentrated around the Martian equator, the equivalent to the Red Sea, in fact. And this amount of water could cover the Martian surface, I believe, with 1.5 to 2.7 meters of water. The whole Martian landscape. How do you like them apples? Pretty shallow ocean. Would evaporate in a second. Anyway, I do digress. Japan announces successful slim lunar landing. The fifth country to reach the moon's surface, and, well, the fourth country to lose contact with their lander. Japan's lunar lander reached the moon, but it's rapidly losing power, and it is now non-functional, according to the space agency. Do you think these are all just fairy tales they make up and none of this is happening? Well, we do have evidence that several landings have happened on the moon because we can see them from the Earth with telescopes. Mesolithic chewing gum reveals ancient diet and dental woes. Well, of course they didn't have any dentists back then, 10,000 years ago. But about 10,000 years ago, a group of hunter-gatherers were hanging out in what is new southwestern Sweden, chewing pieces of birch tar. New analysis of the substance reveals they had very modern dental issues, and it looks almost like modern chewing gum, doesn't it? It's really bizarre. The birch tar samples, which were likely chewed to create a kind of glue, were first excavated in the 1990s by Huseby Klev in Sweden. While they've been studied before, a team of researchers led by Emrah Kirdok from Mersin University in Turkey developed cutting-edge methods to analyze the ancient DNA contained in the samples. And what they found was fantastic. Evidence of deer, trout, and hazelnuts, and many others were chewed by these teenagers in the group. Isn't that fascinating what DNA can reveal? Too bad China has all of our DNA. Climate researchers blame Himalayan glaciers melting much more slowly on warming. Yes, I said it. Glaciers are melting much more slowly because of warming. You can't make this up. But you can, because out-of-touch Davos elites insist disinformation on the science, quote unquote, is the number one global threat. Apparently, they didn't get the memo that the science is not something that's settled. It's something that evolves through time. Please, someone send in the memo. And if you have just a moment, please join us in a minute over at Magnetic Reversal News for an amazing expose on the Younger Dryas catastrophe, ancient mythology, and how it explains to a T what happened around 13,000 years ago. We'll also discuss the implications of the Taurid meteor stream and the Enki complex, and how they may be the remnants of the parent body of this cosmic catastrophe. And that's a boom to knowledge. Please share this video as we are shadow banned and we need your help to grow. Become a Patreon, support the work we do, and watch all of our podcasts in one place commercial free. Be safe. We love you, and we'll see you soon at Magnetic Reversal for the next boom.